Gotta hide.
How would Nick Baldwin do this?
You can do it. You can dance like Nick Baldwin. It's not that hard.
Is it worth it? Let me work it. Put my thing down, flip it and reverse it. It's your
Oh my God. Janine.
Happy Monday.
You are a co-host today because Nick Baldwin had to take care of his family today, help his boys. And he's good. All is good in the Baldwin household and just needed some assistance. Okay. Who are you and why are you here today?
Well, you know what it's like to be in your world. It's the, hey, get there on Monday morning and let's do this. And here we are. So I'm Janine Crombo. I'm a team leader, a proud team leader out in Glen Ellen, Illinois. I'm part of the E2P group in the Mid-American region and one of Caryn's besties.
I think it's pretty funny that Pete always jokes that he had to close you.
I know.
When you came back to KW.
Well, I think it's a good idea to let him think that, but we all know the truth. That's for sure.
Okay. I just want you were with KW. You left to open your own brokerage. Weren't you, little show off?
I did. I totally left. I thought the grass was greener on the other side. Actually, I'll back up a little bit. I didn't have the best of leadership where I was at KW originally. So I will publicly say that. And that did not change my opinion of the company. I just felt like my growth was stifled on what I could do and what I wanted. And I kept, reaching for this conversation. Long story short, I had an opportunity to open up my own brokerage with two amazing women partners in the city. We were in a space to help out a lot of people in a distressed market. And it was phenomenal. It was a great run. We worked on short sales and REOs for a long time. But then there was this woman who came back into the Chicagoland area. I didn't know her, but I had heard of her, and her name was Caryn. And my KW friends had said, you should really meet with Caryn. And I thought, sure, I'm happy to. I love KW. And the rest is history. I came back in 2015. And I look back on that, Caryn, conversation. I fell right into the trap. I don't think you said many words. It was me telling you my pain.
Well, you also are married. You have 4 kids and you're a team leader. And people think I can't be a team leader and have children. What does that mean now?
Well, yeah. And my kids
do you know their names?
I do. I'm aware of the first letter, which is really important. So there, yeah, the age range, and I want to tell you, we planned it. It was from 19 to now, 19 is my oldest, that's Paige, to my youngest is Declan, and he's 6. And so, I think if you're going to be a team leader and have kids, you have to have great support at home. You really do. And it has to be an all-in team effort to understand that we're in it together. So my kids are right along this journey, and my husband is, I always say, he's the rock and the kids are the inspiration. That's for sure.
Oh, and now you have a dog. Well, it's been about a year, right? Is Arlo a year old?
Yeah, so we're a family of 12, Caryn. So there are 6 humans in the house, and then there are 6 animals. And I'm really clean, by the way, because, when you say that, a lot of people go, oh, dirty house. No, we do have white sheets. But we do. We have 3 dogs, a bunny, and a cat.
Yeah, people think that about my house too, but it is in the middle of the country, so it is a little. And you drive, how many miles a day do you drive to your KW office that you operate?
45 one way.
Miles.
Yep, 45 miles. But you know what? Here's the thing. Like, to me, the brokerage that I originally had was in downtown Chicago, and that was 78 miles door to door. And at the time that I was driving that, I was pregnant. So right now I'm not pregnant, God bless, won't have any more. But at the end of the day, 45 miles, it's perspective. You know, to me, it's not a big deal. I feel like it's a massive opportunity. I, as an individual broker owner, could not impact or make a difference at the level I wanted to without stepping into a team leader role. And now I'm blessed with the opportunity. So I work to earn it every day, and 45 miles each way is not a big deal.
Do you think that you becoming a team leader with us was like a forced position?
No, I don't think it was a forced position because it was a 2-year conversation, to be honest. I mean, you were my good friend. We went to dinner. We would always hang out. We would talk.
I wined you. I dined you.
Right. And right back at you. I mean, there was moments when I was hounding you and I was saying, let's get for dinner. And I don't feel like it was a forced position. I think I became a part of the firm once I got in.
Right. Can you explain what the firm is in our group?
Well, you know, once you're in, you don't get out. I mean, that's really the truth of it. So you've got to see the movie. Once you're in, you just, you know, you and Pete have built such an amazing opportunity of leadership and love and compassion for your leaders. There it is. Oh my gosh, you really had to flyer me. I tell you, there we are. It is the firm. And here's this truth of the firm. We actually, as team leaders amongst each other, if we need something in the evening hours or on the weekends, we actually text each other. The code is welcome to the firm. And if somebody responds back, we know we can continue the conversation. But if nobody responds, the firm is closed. So it's I mean, you never want to leave.
No, I mean, and you can't. So there's that too.
No, and you can't. I mean, once you're in, you're in. That's it.
Okay. Well, I just sent all the team leaders the picture. Like, were you shocked at the accountability that was happening as a team leader?
Yes.
Like, what shade? Like,
yes. Well, you know what? I'll be honest with you. The silent conversation I had in my head when I came in was, I want to see who I can become. And I want to see what's made of myself. And not that I couldn't do that on my own, but I know that Caryn, can you hear me okay? Caryn, I got you. I see you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know, you know, I just knew that Gary Keller just always talked about nobody succeeds alone. And I knew that I didn't have enough people around me when I was on my own as a brokerage. So therefore, I really wanted to see what could come of myself and who I could become being inside of this.
So now you've like built this big office. You've done really, even like we went through 8 team leaders in like 7 years in that office. And you are the one, you're the chosen one. And even the biggest naysayers are like, I like you. I know you've been here over 2 years, but now I like you, right? They gave you a hard time. So now your leadership has allowed me to move on to an additional opportunity. And we're gonna bring Tony Brodie on in just a minute, and you can have Adam, like drill him.
Oh, the best. The best. I mean,
all right, you ready?
Yeah, let's have Tony in.
Do you think he sings Missy Elliott? Because I'm gonna go with no.
No.
I don't think he does. I don't know that I want to see him dance.
Oh,
good.
Keep your arms down. Keep them tucked in.
I'll take Missy Elliott over the halftime show yesterday, but maybe that's just me.
Nope, I'm with you.
I was like, I just never heard of The Weekend or Weekday, whatever his name was.
He's from Chicago. Don't you ever say that to me.
All right. I start off with an opinion that may not be like totally people dialed in with.
Already divisive.
Here we go.
Caryn, what are you doing today? Day one. What's going on in your world? Where are you?
Well, today's my first day of a new job.
Opportunity.
Nothing. I'm in California, eating bonbons, went to the beach. No, I'm just kidding. I will say, Janine, leaving minus 25 wind chill and coming to 70 degrees yesterday, it wasn't awful.
I can imagine. It had to work well.
Yeah. Okay. So you two, go have at it.
All right, Tony Brodie, I have questions for you.
Oh boy. All right. It's 5:30. Here we go. Day after the Super Bowl.
Right.
I'm ready.
First,
they do think it should be a national holiday. What do you think? Like the day after?
Well, I've heard there's been like petitions, or it's gone up to the government that actually may happen at some point. I'm down.
I mean, I'm interested. So let me truly get the truth out here, because this is going to be the understanding of our relationship. Were you a Bucks or a Chiefs guy last night?
So I may or may not have had a financial investment on the Chiefs.
Okay.
But I found myself rooting for Brady to get another one. So it's kind of a win-win. I was like, either going to buy, you know what I mean, lose but still win type deal. And talk about proven talent. Like, one person you get in business with that can change your organization, like literally overnight. A team that was 6-10, and you hire one great individual with a track record, comes over, you get a Super Bowl. Like, there's so many,
and Gronk had something to do with it too.
The what?
Gronkowski had something to do with it too.
Oh, absolutely. Gronk, and they have great defense and everything, and a coach. But overall, that was pretty much the same team last year. Like, so there's so many parallels with that in terms of hiring, aka the situation day one. We're so excited about so many parallels about leadership, vision. Like after the game, they were talking to the players, and and the coach was like, his leadership is second to none. He's going to the defensive guys saying, "Hey, have you considered doing this on this player?" Like, just the get them to buy into where they're going really overnight was a big piece of it too. So to answer your question, I found myself rooting for Brady getting his seventh title.
Well, I have to tell you, last night when I was thinking about, having this conversation with you, I am I'm a Brady fan and have been for a long time. And the one thing I have admired about him is truly the conversation around the discipline over the craft. And the craft for him, not the previous owner, but the craft for him and what he does is he studies the game at such a high level. He wasn't the first pick coming out of high school. He always had the chip on his shoulder to do better and become something. And really what he focused on, from a lot of documentaries, you watch this guy, he really just wanted to get better for himself. And then absolutely that would spill out onto the team. So yesterday was a really unique experience, right? For all of us to just watch this guy come onto a team, turn the ship around. He knew he couldn't do it alone. He had to quickly pivot this team. He had some talent in there. He needed a good wingman. He brings Gronk in out of retirement and gets him back out of the field with him because he knows how that feels. This is not any different than what we do in business.
Right, absolutely.
It really is about how we grow really successful teams. And right now, Tony Brodie, I look at you as you're the coach right now. And you just brought in a Tom Brady into your organization.
Janina, that was the philosophy. Like, when we're going through this search, that was the question I asked. Like who's the Tom Brady and Keller Williams that could change the face of our region instantly? Like, through it, and that's the fundamental question. And Caryn and I talked about this in career visioning. Is I'm just done not being in business with proven talent.
Oh.
Like we talk about potential talent and emerging talent and all that, and I'm just finished. Like moving forward in every organization or in coaching and consulting people is just take a stand for that. And I think, like, what does that look like? One, you got to be really, really clear on what you're looking for. Like really clear on behavioral profile you're looking for. What's the natural fit to the role? Like, if I can just sit here and I pull this up, figure we may talk about this.
Yep.
This is Caryn Prahl's job matches within Keller Williams. Like, right? And you would agree that a regional director role is highly empire builder, the biggest empire builder opportunity in the company. Like, it's there. in every match here, and this is before I even got to know her, right? I just want to say, like, what's her natural behavior? Where will she gravitate towards to? That's something she'll like to do. Because what we find in career vision, what you like to do, you're also really good at. People tend to really enjoy their strengths, and it's okay. 99% match team leader. Okay, so as I get to know Caryn, what was her track record as a team leader? Like, just so we have the match of like, she's going to rock it and crush it. Behaviorally, it says she'll enjoy it. Now I need to verify it through the track record. Does that make sense?
Completely.
Like what? And operating partner. Okay. She's in control of the GM and OP of several market centers, like several really in the Chicago area. Agent, all the things that are like, you control market share by being in this empire builder role. And so step one is you got to, let's say, hey, what's the behavior likelihood they're going to enjoy it? And then they'll succeed in the role. And that's, I think, like, no matter what your role is on this call and Keller Williams, I can't tell you how important that is. Like a lot of times people skip that part, or they may be a medium or a low match and they go, you know what? Under my leadership, I can change that.
I've done that.
Right? Hey, Caryn, you get me. I can make her really enjoy it. She's really enjoyed it because I'm just different. And at the end of the day, right, you always fall back to who you are. And so you owe it to that individual to put them in the right role behaviorally. And I love it that's at the beginning of career visioning. Let's cut to the chase. Are they going to enjoy it? And will they be good at it if everything else matches?
Well, and I think too, what I hear you saying too, Tom
Brody.
Don't give him an ego.
Yes. Oh my gosh, you can call me Brady.
It'll never be
You can hire her too.
No, but really, honestly, thinking about it, cutting the corners around career visioning, not taking your time with it, not learning the process of it, not going through the failed mistakes of cutting corners and then coming back around. I mean, you're a master at it because of the fact, or you have been practicing to become a master of it because you've been teaching the course and at a high level, and you've hired well inside your organization.
Janine, before you say that, I can't tell you how many bad hires I've made, and there's still money burning through my pockets from starting 10 to 15 years ago in this company. And to the point where when John Davis was at the time, he was he tapped me on the shoulder and he goes, "Hey Tony, I want you to go teach career visioning across the country." And I said, "John, why did you choose me as one of your instructors? And you taught me some great things on how to teach it." And he goes, "Tony, when I was an RD in North Texas and you were a team leader, and then I've seen you in Austin and then he kind of watched your career path. You've made some of the most epic, massive mishires in the history of Keller Williams." And I go, "Thank you, John Davis. I appreciate that." And then he goes, "Well, what happens when you hire and you make massive mistakes? What did you do?" I said, "I learned." And he goes, "So you have so much value by adding your perspective of things, what not to do, and things to look for, and hiring great talent." So Janine, I would say I appreciate that, but I failed massively in this. So, and I've learned from it.
Well, and I think that's the most important part about it. And this is my question to you, would be, tell me, when you're writing down that list and when you're really figuring out, all right, I want to find the empire builder and I really want to grow this exponentially inside of my region, what are some of the words that describe the person you're looking for?
Right. So there's two. I'll answer that two ways. There's things in behaviorally and career visioning and the KPA that I'm going to spend more time in and get examples of where that shows up in the individual's life and their track record and also in references. Those would be assertiveness, intensity.
Wait, Tony, when you say words, I'm gonna just verify as someone that works for Caryn Prowl. So go ahead.
So tell me if any of these fit. fit
You
her
have
at
all
all.
these. This is actually an interview about you, Janine, because you have all these same traits. So go ahead, Tony. Hear Janine who she is.
Someone with high assertiveness, someone intensity. Okay, that's in the KPA. And I would say the third one, which is responsiveness, which means it measures the degree how somebody works with speed. Right?
Wow.
Speed. So I think those are the three things that stick out the most, so that I'm, in terms of what in the KPA, the behavior, is it a match, and get examples of. Now, the other group is what's important to me, that other words that I need to have someone in business, and this shows up in their life and their history, and they have these traits and characteristics. The first three, I would say, it's a great book. I would encourage everybody to read. It's called The Ideal Team Player. It's by Patrick Lencioni, I believe. And it's a great little book. It's like a little novel, and it's written through a story. And the three things there, which are in alignment with me, is hungry, humble, and smart. Okay, so somebody who's hungry. Now, what does that look like to me? Well, it's an exhibit of what's happening right now. It's 5:30 in the morning, the day after the Super Bowl, and Caryn Kroll is up and at 'em, ready to go. I mean, fired up, day one, and right, like, so by 6 a.m. or before, they want to conquer the world. Like, let's go. So to me, it's and also hungry is that competitive landscape. I'll talk about that in a second. The second thing would be humility. Tom Brady was Exhibit A last night. I don't know if everybody watched the post-game interview.
Yeah.
When they're on stage and they're presenting his 7th Super Bowl, he was off to the side. He had the head coach win his first Super Bowl, all these players, and he really did not want to be a part of it. And he was just letting them. And they asked him the question, and they go, Tom, is this? They're trying to bait him a little bit. Is this more special than the other 6? Because this is your 7th one. You did it for this team. And he goes, no, they're all special. Like, I'm not here to compare this ring versus the other championships. That would be a disservice to the other 6 rings he won with the Patriots. He was very humble.
How would that leave that team feeling? I mean, the Patriots and all the work that they put in, like, that would not be fair.
He was a class act in that. You're right.
His humility was just, I was like, that's great leadership. Exhibit A right there. And with that is, I believe when things go well, winning a Super Bowl, all the credit publicly goes to the team. When things go wrong, the accountability starts with you. There's what's that Navy SEAL book? I think it's called Extreme Accountability.
Extreme Ownership.
Extreme Ownership.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And that was like my big aha from that. So that's the humility part to me. And then the third thing, Janine, what we're looking for, I think is important, is smart with people. There's book smart and there's intelligence, that's all good, but a lot of that's the product that you're grown up in. Like in career vision, there's a vocabulary piece. Mm-hmm. And I believe like a lot of that's just your vocab is the environment that you may or may not have had control in as a kid. But are you learning based, right? That's critical. And then if you go into the book smart, people smart is, how do you treat people? Like how do you treat that person that may or may not be the who in your life that helps you get wherever you go in 5 years? Do you still treat that person the same as you do everybody else? Do you talk to that person in your organization that may or may not be the in your 20% to get where you need to go, but you know who they are, you ask about them. And that's so important. And I found that out a lot through CV with Caryn of how that showed up, not based on what she said, but also the references. It was just all alignment. And then the last piece is, this is number one. So like when you're hiring, I think it's important to have all these characteristics. Then you got to have, what's the one characteristic that you can't live without? Like you've got to have this trait. And so hungry, humble, smart. I gave you the KPA stuff. Integrity is obviously huge. And for me, is somebody who hates to lose more than they love to win.
So, I want to know about that.
right? That's
Yeah,
it.
I want to know about that. I want to know why that to you is just the stake in the ground for you that plants the flag to say that's my person, is they've got that competitive drive. Why is that the one thing for you?
That's such a great question. I would answer it is if you've got that one, they have that trait and it shows up every single day, it's going to attract other people who have that same trait as well.
Oh, yep.
So what would it look like if you have an organization from showing assistant to front desk to MCA to lead listing specialist to expansion, where everybody on that team knows the scoreboard, where you're at, where you're going, and where you are currently, and what has to happen that day to move that needle.
Keep going, Tone.
Competitive.
At the scoreboard, and he's coming back.
That's it. Like, so no matter what the role is, I want to be.
Tony,
so, yeah.
Tony, say that again. So I heard at the scoreboard. Do it again for us. We lost you for a second.
No, I just saying is like back to your question. If you get in a business who hates to lose more than they love to win, and that shows up throughout the one, they're going to go attract people who are competitive as well in every single role. So now you have a collection of people in different behavioral roles, but they do have one characteristic that's common, and they hate to lose more than they love to win. What's going to happen to your market share? What's going to happen to the results when you have that passion collectively as a group, individually, then collectively, where everybody is ultra competitive? You're going to move the needle. Does that make sense? So to me, it's the results and all that's good, but it's more who else are they going to attract to be part of that team that will help you get there faster by having that common trait together.
Well, and you're going to create an environment. I mean, it's brilliantly said, because when you create that environment and pulling people together that have won before in their life and they know what it means to win. So grit, hustle, all of that's going to come with those people, blood, sweat, tears. But if you put that group together, I got to imagine it is a powerhouse. It's a force. It's a force that's going to make a difference.
And what's really verifying, like this is why I love CV. Like, it showed up. Like when I did her life story, I mean, our life story was 5 hours. Like, we spent a day.
Oh my God. Poor Tony goes, what are we going to need? Like 2 or 3 hours? And I go,
So let me ask you, Tony, what did we name the life story? Because at the end, we got to name it.
Oh, you know what? I don't know if we'll do that today. I don't know if I actually put a book on it.
This is a lot. This is a lot of pressure, but this makes sense actually to me because Janine is actually probably more competitive than I am.
Oh, I don't know about that.
But and what this doesn't surprise me, because Caryn, like, right, you have that trait characteristic, and this was something you were looking for, ultra competitive.
Yep.
I mean,
well, and where do you find it when you're in that process? What questions are you digging for to find that competitiveness? Are you going back to 5th grade at the swim team meet where you had to win? Are you where is that look inside of career visioning for you? Where are you looking to find it?
Everywhere.
Okay.
Like everywhere in the process. Like, so in like intensity or assertiveness, I'm going to give examples. Like, tell me a time in grade school where it showed up, like competitive. I want to get, what would others people say about that? What was really cool is when you get to reference checking, and because it comes out through the questions, like the thought process questions, there's questions where you can dig deep on competitive. Life story, it's like the question I always ask too in the life story is because to me, this is directly relates to competitiveness, is what was the market share when you took over that position? What was the market share, or what was your production or agent count or owner, whatever that means, when you started? And what was it when you finished? Because I want to see a market share of Nike graph. And then when you go to reference checking, and she gave me some amazing references of each time she was in that role, I would ask that question. When she started, what did it look like? Where were y'all as an organization? When she moved on to the next opportunity, what has ended up, and do we have a match?
You know, it's really it's insightful to have a deeper conversation about this, especially about somebody who has been with a company for 11 years. And so when we're talking about Caryn and we're talking about all of the steps she's made to progress in her career, the one word that has stuck out a lot is world domination in her work, right? And you know, it's funny because we and in the firm have always smiled about it and been like, yeah, world domination. Her agents even speak that way. But what's interesting is I really believe she's on a path for world domination. Like, I mean, there is a footprint of Caryn Kroll, and now she has a Mid-American world of footprint. It's moving into your section of the world, and it's really powerful. So it's important the words you use. One of the questions I also wanted to ask you, Tony Brodie, let's go 5 years out, because that personally to me is one of my favorite parts, is really the motivational interview. And going 60 months, 1,825 days later, where do you want to be? And what did you learn in that process?
So I learned a ton, and that's what's really cool about TV is I learned she made me better. In addition to get to know her, what can we do different together as a region, etc. So the one is I got her big why. Like there's job and then there's financial, which is those are, you gotta nail those. Where does she want to be in 5 years? Vocation. Where does she want to be individual in terms of financial? And then, but that's not why she's doing it. And I don't want to get into details because it's a very personal process, but it's really, really cool to understand like what it is experiences with other people, like having this awesome, like this freedom to go do things with people and create these massive experiences. The other thing, what I also learned through this is, which was really, really cool, is her passion to help people who had a bad luck of the draw.
That's true about her.
Like where, right? Not people who are victims or whatever. They just had a bad luck, and what are those organizations and what does that look like financially to help them? And it was really, really cool. So that's the piece of the motivation where it's, people always say money it's not important to me or money doesn't drive me. That's not the question we need to ask, is what can that money do for you that's going to give you fulfillment? Right?
Well, I think what this shows, just an overall general, and this, I don't want it to be like about me, but it is how important the process is, because I left that process saying that Tony knows how I think as well as Pete does, right? And Pete's one of my closest friends, partners. I love his family, you know, like, and that the fact that one process can teach someone. So I think if anyone can get anything from today, it's when you slow down and do the process. And poor Tony's hand hurt because he was writing so much. I mean, I don't know how many pages you had to turn into Josh and Gary, but it was a lot. And they said it was the most thorough career visioning packet they'd seen. So that was kudos to him, because he took a lot of time to do it and didn't skip the step. And I think when people really understand the process and what comes out of it, because as the recipient of career visioning, I felt very cared for.
Well, yeah. That's the part I wanted to touch on, Caryn, through you, is that I saw from you were very emotional when you got home from that process, and you felt incredibly impacted and touched in that there was so much depth to the conversation. And you learned of yourself, but also what I learned from that conversation was how much you trusted our relationship. And when we talk about going into business together, that's one of the most important pieces. How do we go into business with people if we don't really know, one, where they're going, who they are, and why we're together? And then the trust side. Tony, the hardest part I have in career visioning is feeling like it's one-sided. And help me with this, because I feel like I'm interviewing so much. And just like you did with Caryn, you interview so much and you're working through the process on them as the recipient. How do you then give back into the recipient of who you are? So
I love the question. And here's something we did with Caryn a little bit earlier in the process, to be honest. And it was worth it, because I felt I'd gone through the KPA, right? And I was like, okay, but I knew Caryn for the last few years, KW stuff, region, friends, like master, all that, awesome. But I really didn't understand who she is, what makes her tick, etc. And I go, okay, I'm going to get my regional team involved now. Like, I want because I want to understand right off the bat. Caryn may go, I'm out. This is which by the way could have been an outcome.
Sure.
The regional team could have said, Tony, what the heck are you doing? And that's feedback. I don't know if I go the next step or not, but I want buy-in. You want the buy-in. But to answer your question is, she had the opportunity to learn about me a little bit through them. I'm not part of that interview. That's very important. When you get a group interview, get the heck out of the way and let them have a conversation so she can learn about me, not me telling anything about, but through the team. I think what happens is also when I go through the rest of CV, I got feedback on both sides from Caryn on that meeting and also from the regional team. And it helps me kind of navigate the conversation that we're going to have if we're going to get in business together. So if you're getting business with great talent, proven talent, get your team involved early. Get the feedback. I want to know, because you got the rest of the process to know where to dive deeper and get that chemistry and see if we can make this happen.
That's great. No, it's the most thoughtful thing in the world to be able to spend time with people and care enough about what they want to go create massive empire builders. And that could be a DFI, that could be a director of agent services, that could be anywhere to start them inside of this this bubble. I think of Keller Williams very much like a bubble. The world is sideways outside of KW, and we're lucky enough to be inside of it.
The other thing I want to share. Oh, go ahead, Caryn. Yep.
Go ahead.
No, I want to say, like, my aha, and I'm still learning a ton of CV, and I make a ton of mistakes. I made a ton with Caryn through that. My biggest aha when I went to reference checking, and you nail the life story, or you spend a lot of time in the motivation, and you don't cut corners, and you get the thought processes, never is. I don't think I've ever done reference checking where the verification of what the end of the references said, 1 level, 2 levels, 3 levels deep, was exactly what Caryn shared with me through her history and the way she thinks and her motivation. Meaning, she wasn't telling me what I wanted to hear. She was telling me exactly who she is. And where I found sometimes in the past is people skip things or their omissions, and the references may not be like totally there. And I think that's very important, because when I got to question number 6, and I go, on a scale of 1 to 10, how competitive is Caryn Sprawl, as an example? The average answer was 37.
Yep.
And then or when I say, hey, what would you say what her strengths are? Where's her improvement? And it was the same story every single time. But if you skip the process, it gets messy. If you do the process and the references aren't matching, we may have a gap of maybe somebody tell what you want to hear. That my biggest aha is always nail that, and that should be when you get to references. Doesn't mean everything is just perfect, but the story should be pretty tight. I don't know if that makes sense.
Oh, completely. And it's funny, once you learn this process or you start on this journey, it's almost like, how do you go forward in life without doing it?
Well, it's like when I met Joel, I ran his credit and gave him a disc, right? So I did and sent him an ABA, and Joel's taken the KPA. But I think also is that Tony, also, I was interviewing him, and that's what people also miss too, is watching his process and how he works. And when you are looking for someone who's already been inside the company and you want them to be a candidate for a position, is I was watching that he wasn't skipping steps either, right? Because I thought how he shows up now is how he's going to show up for me later. So while they might not recognize that's what's happening, but anyone who's been inside KW we're watching also how they show up for me right now, because I have passed on jobs because of how that leader has shown up for me, whether they've been too busy or distracted or this or whatever. And the fact that like I had his attention for that many hours a day, it was exhausting. I mean, it was a lot. But I think also is you are interviewing that person too, to make sure, like when someone's in career visioning, it's just like dating to me. It's the best it's ever going to be. Like legit, this is the best the relationship's ever going to be in dating. Bruce Jenner, circa 1996, keeping up with the Kardashians taught me that. Now it's Caitlyn Jenner. And so I have to say Bruce Jenner because it was way back then. And so when you're dating him, it's the best it's ever going to be. Well, I thought, okay, are they giving me their best right now? And he did. Right. And I've been in meetings and conversations about opportunities that I didn't get that. And I thought, well, if this is how they're going to show up now, what happens later?
You can take that right back to just the full concept of waking up every day and truly just making a decision, and decision means to cut off from, but really just showing up in life to come be the best of yourself. And that means that if I'm going to go and list my brother's house versus the guy down the street, I'm going to give the same presentation, the same systems, the same experience, the same.
Thank you.
And I really think that just spills out into all of our lives, right? Career visioning. I mean, Tony's showing up, and obviously to him, you got to imagine this was natural for you, Tony, because this is how you do the system. This is exactly, you took the book, you learned it, you failed forward 100 times over. Maybe not 50. And then next thing you know, here you are. To you, that was just a natural play. But Caryn witnessed somebody she wanted to be in business with because you had become great at your craft. Now, on turn of that, how you felt as a recipient, I mean, that was a big deal. I mean, that really made an impact on you, that somebody slowed down enough to care about your life. And at the end of the day, boy, I tell you, for the team leaders out there, one of the things I've loved most about career visioning is taking the time to slow down with your agents inside to do motivational interviews.
Oh, and your leadership teams and your staff, right? So what's funny though is from that process is then Tony knew how I thought, right? So this is not about Tony and I, it's just about thinking. And so he knew that I liked organization, structure, communication. And every day he was proactive then in communicating with me. And we talk about the 5 love languages as we all have a different language of love. Mine is acts of service, but I felt very cared for and I felt loved in a way because he was being proactive and saying, here's what's happening next. Here's what's happening next. But I couldn't put it together unless I'd gone through a process to understand is he heard what it was that I needed and was making sure as a leader or partner that was going to happen.
Yeah.
I and it doesn't stop. Like today, day one, like she flew to California. I'm in California. We're meeting as day one as a regional team. Like, here we go. Like it's day one of the first 30 days, like whatever. But like our team is getting locked down in an office in the Sacramento area for 2 days to I want Caryn to challenge our systems, our goals, our 1-3-5. She's going to get to know our team members, where she's going to start, and then we're going to start meeting our top leaders. It just because you make that great hire, we're just beginning. This relationship is just beginning. And so it's important for the leader in this situation. I'm flying to California and I'm going to be with this team all week, and we're going to work together. We're going to get alignment. We're going to challenge each other. And in the end, there's going to be so much great outcome from this. I kind of nailed it on the front end. If I verse saying, "Hey, Caryn, good luck, go," like here's that. No, we which she's probably okay with. And it's important that collectively we kind of get some great communication and systems in place the next 2 days.
Well, it really teaches you that like who you're in business with matters, right? So Janine, I'm sorry I failed you in career visioning, but I've been stalking you for over 2 years. And I get to always be better at it too. So I apologize to every person I've hired. I failed you.
No, but here's what I do know that is really beautiful about Caryn. There's a lot of things, but this is a really difficult thing to master. And I think, Tony, you're going to see this on a really high level. You already have, but Caryn is really awesome at taking a human being and caring about them as a person and almost separating that, these are my words, separating that person from the role. And in one breath, she could love me enough to tell me where I have a gap or what is falling down or what is an opportunity. In the next breath, it's let's go to dinner, let's go have a conversation. And yes, they do come together, but at the same time, she doesn't hold the friendship at I only care for you because of what you can do for me. there's a real difference in people that you work with or you build with that think about you as a human being. And I've appreciated that. And it's also been one of the things that really makes you want to show up. Now, for everybody in the Northern California and Hawaii region, what Caryn Shawley and all the team leaders here would say is you would need a helmet, you would need a seatbelt.
Well, I know that.
Goggles to be able to get through the experience. But on the other side of it, it really does, you do become really amazing in this world when you have the right leadership. So between the two of you, I'm so excited to see what comes of your region and who you become over the next year and the next 5 years in world domination.
I mean, I haven't slept for like 3 weeks. I'm nervous, right? And so if I'm not nervous, then Dick Dillingham said, I'd be worried if you weren't worried or nervous. So but I want to thank Janine and everyone at EDP, because without Janine, if you were not in my world and my friend and my partner, then I wouldn't be able to go do this either. And we can continue growing there too, because we have plans. We're not nearly done there. We're only half the size we should be. So I'm excited to be on the journey with both of you. So thanks.
It's exciting.
Janine, back to your question. One last thing I want to say here on that one question you said about 5 years and everything.
Yes, please.
It's really cool. This is important because Josh team asked me the same question. Like, we remember we had the call with Mark and Matt. And
Josh. I'm not going to show Josh team. Josh said, teach me something in command.
Yeah.
Oh,
and then
no pressure.
Caryn had to get off, and I had to defend the hire. So there's one lesson in that. What would it look like if every person you had to hire, you had to run by Josh and Gary? Like, how like accountable do you have to be that? You have to know, like, but he asked a question, and I learned this from Caryn in CV of what's important to her. And he asked me a question. He goes, what are the results you want to see? And I said, Josh, I'm going to send, you have all our stuff. You have our 135, you have our goals, and those are the results you want to see. Like, and by the way, they may change. Caryn may come in and rip them up today, and I'm okay with that. We'll talk about it. And I said, what she said to me at some point through the CV process, I can't remember specifically where, she goes, Tony, we're going to accomplish all this, and we're going to have more fun than we've ever had this year. We're going to look back, and we're going to hit these goals, and we're going to have a blast. So I shared that with Josh, and it was kind of like, I don't know if this is, but I was like, yes, Josh, we're going to hit our goals, and we're going to have fun again. And he loved it. And it was a great kind of dialogue with Matt and Mark about what that looks like, how they all kind of agreed, and it was good dialogue. So that's important too. If we're not enjoying what we're doing or celebrating and experiences with our top people, none of this is worth it. And I'm grateful that Caryn's going to put that in play with us in Northern Cal and Hawaii. So that's
it's a leg wrestling. The first event is leg wrestling competition.
I'm out.
I tell you, it's going to get ugly over there. We've gone through all of these things. We've had tug of wars. It's good luck. But
we do chair races, right? We have chair races. Those are fun. I hide underneath the people's desks and scare them. That is fun too.
You know, and it is true because that energy of having fun, and it's really the accountability and the understanding of what your role is and how you move the bus forward and how you make an impact on the team. And this is for real estate teams or leadership teams or regions, or even Gary Keller, right, running this massive organization. The conversation of, can we enjoy our life in the process, and can we have fun, and is it the culture we want to be a part of? That's what it's about. And Caryn has taught that at a very high level. I'm working on it. I'm a little more serious and I need to break out, but you guys are going to have a great time, and I'm so excited for the journey ahead. I just hope I get an opportunity to come and visit you in any of your locations.
Pearl,
we got some good spots up there.
All right, listen, everybody, have an awesome day. Sorry about my internet issues. Janine, thank you for always picking up behind me and keeping the house clean. Okay.
Congratulations to both of you.
And
thank you both. Have a great day. See you in a bit, Caryn.
I'm proud of you, Tony. Good job. Ooh, can't use that word.